Welcome back to another Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game video. For those that don't know, today Gun Interactive went live and went through the entire metagame for the game.
Yeah, they did.
A lot of games. A game within a game. That was their way of describing it. And that sums up what the metagame is. If you haven't used metagame, that term before, it just comes down to the perks, the abilities, your skill trees, all of that, and how it works in this particular game. And I think this is potentially the most advanced metagame that we've seen for any asymmetrical multiplayer horror game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, because Dead by Daylight's is pretty thorough. Evil Dead's was pretty thorough. And if there's anything I know about those two games and the way their metagame works, it's an absolute game changer. It changes how you play entirely and the results that you get.
Yeah.
F13, not so much. But today we're going to go through all of the metagame, going to go over that whole stream and the community hub post they dropped and just kind of hit the big bullet points here. Maybe talk about some stuff that you may have missed if you weren't in the stream that's not in the hub post. There's a few things that they talked about that weren't in the hub post. So that's what this video is going to be. Now let's start from the very beginning. Abilities, you probably already know about these, but every character starts off with a base ability. That's what makes that character unique. For example, that's Leland's ability to charge and run over members of the family. It's Connie's ability, her focus ability to unlock locks instantly. Cook's listening ability, and of course, like Leatherface's ability is the chainsaw. Okay, so those base abilities that you use. Just want to make sure there's an understanding. Every character has a different, unique ability. And we'll talk about how you can alter that ability as we go on.
Yes.
Okay? And we're on to the skill tree. The skill tree is basically, it's similar to Dead by Daylight skill tree, where you use it to unlock perks and attribute points, which we'll talk about those later. And then there's also a random perk option on there. It's just a question mark on the skill tree. And if you click on it, you get a random perk. And the reason those are different is because each path you take is important, because if you got left, right, and middle to pick from, if you pick left, the middle and the right go away.
Yeah.
You can't unlock them anymore.
Yeah, and then from that left path that you chose, there are other paths that you can choose that lock out other options as well. And and sometimes you don't even know. You don't know what you're missing out on.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Because this was what I thought was super cool. We actually both, while watching the stream, had a oh damn moment. So they were going through the skill tree. The further along you get following a path, it reveals more on the tree. So you can look in advance to a certain degree and kind of see the perks you're heading towards, but not the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You get to unlock to a certain point, and then it'll expand even further, and you're like, oh my. There's a lot to go through on that skill tree.
Yeah, it's going to take quite a few resets once you get that skill tree fully filled.
Yeah.
Take quite a few resets to actually be able to see the entire tree.
Yeah, and speaking of resetting and respecking,
respec.
Yeah, respecking is a big part of it as well. So let's say you decide to go left. You follow up all the way through the tree. You get to the end of the tree. Okay, well, you can then remove all of the skill points you used, which skill points are unlocked simply by gaining XP and leveling up your character, or not leveling up, but just gaining XP, because you level up your character by using the skill tree.
Yes.
Keep that in mind, all right? But if you get all the skill points, you go on one path, and you unlock everything on that path. You can then remove all those skill points and then apply it to a whole other path. That path you followed before, you will still see it, but the perks that you unlocked on it will no longer be accessible unless you follow that path again.
Yep.
So at any point, you can go back on it, but if you do remove all the skill points, you will not have access to the perks that you unlocked over there.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go all the way in one path, pull all your skill points, go all the way in the other path, pull all your skill points, go all the way in the other path, and just keep that train going.
Yeah, it is quite in depth.
Yeah, so to do all of that, you're going to it's going to take some serious time. Which I like.
Yes.
It's not clear because, obviously they're playing on a buffed account, so it's not clear how much time it's going to take to get to that point where you're maxing out a character, which the max level appears to be level 10.
Yes.
So it's not clear how long it's going to take to get to that point where you're maxing out characters. And also, when it comes to skill points that you use on your skill tree, those are unlocked by playing the game and gaining XP, but if you were to play Leland, get skill points playing as Leland, you can still take those skill points and apply them to a different character.
Yes.
So you're not forced to play the character in order to level up their skill tree. So that's nice. Evil Dead had a similar system to that, and I just prefer that. If you have a character you want to grind and over again, but you still want to level up another because you maxed out that character, you can do so without actually having to play a character you don't want to play. So that's a nice little feature.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting splitting your time, because obviously one character, one victim, one family member is allowed in each game.
Yes.
You cannot duplicate. So if your main is picked, you're going to have to go focus on another character. So you almost have to split your skill points, which then means that none of your characters will be maxed for a while.
Yeah. And they touched on this on the stream, and we talked about it during the tech test, that the characters are so much fun to play that I think you're going to end up having people having 2 or 3 mains instead of just one. I mean, I want to play Leland. All right, I want to play Leland. I know I want to play Leland, but I don't really care if I had to play somebody else.
Right. Yeah. There's only like one character that I'm like, that does not fit my play style, the way I play games.
Who would that be? Who's that?
I'm not going to say it.
It's Leland, isn't it? You don't like Leland because he's a dick? Because he runs people over?
Yes, because I'm a very nice person.
Because he's too fast-paced?
Couldn't be me. Yes. You got to be in with the action. That's not a character that I normally play in any role in a game.
That's all I do.
but yeah, the other characters I can easily split time between.
Yeah. So that's the very nice part about the game so far, is that it's not the end of the world, especially Leatherface, right? Everyone wants to be a Leatherface main. Maybe not anymore after the tech test, but everyone did want to be a Leatherface main. Who cares? Who cares if you're not Leatherface? Not the end of the world.
Yeah. I didn't like playing it because I was bad. I was a bad Leatherface. I couldn't get out of the basement.
It's hard. It was hard to kind of figure that character out.
Yes.
Okay, but also on the skill tree, like we mentioned, was attribute points. Attribute points can be used to level up your attributes. It's not pretty obvious, right? Well, the attributes are the things we've seen before: your toughness, your endurance, those skill levels that are different per character. You can take those attribute points, 30 total per character, and apply it to your attributes and buff things that you want to buff. So if you want more endurance, you can just lay in on the points there, and maybe your toughness isn't as high, or whatever the hell you want to do. And this is something they reiterated like 10 times in the stream, is that my Connie is not going to be your Connie. My Leland's not going to be your Leland or anyone else's. That how you take advantage of these perks, how you take advantage of the attribute points, it's going to make your character unique. And that's why, like, sharing builds is going to be super important and so common on Reddit and whatnot. So spending those attribute points and using them effectively is a very important piece to the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting seeing these, a character with low endurance.
Yeah.
You can buff the crap out of that endurance, and now you have a more well-rounded character.
Yeah. You just have to figure out where you want to sacrifice your points.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. I think that adds a whole other element to it on top of the perks themselves and the ability tree we'll talk about in a second. So,
yes.
So the thing about these perks, all right, you unlock a whole bunch on the skill tree as you go, but you can only use 3 per loadout in a game. So you get your ability, you get your 3 perks, and however you spend your attribute points. What's cool about your loadouts is that you get 5 preset loadouts. You remember how long it took to get preset loadouts in Dead by Daylight? Like now, it just happened. Okay, it's been forever. Now, this is at launch. You have 5 preset loadouts you can have. So if you have 3 different perks, whatever, that's fine. On 5 different loadouts, you can change your attribute points on those loadouts. Mm-hmm. So perks and attribute points, that's what goes in your loadouts. And the 5 preset ones you can switch from depending on who you're going against, how you want to play that game, what map you're on.
Yeah,
it's up to you. I love that, dude, because you can do that. Like F13 doesn't have pre-save loadouts like that. So if you're on a different map, like if you're on Jarvis House instead of Peck and X Small, you kind of probably want to be able to run farther. So maybe you run Marathon instead on that, instead of changing independently each time and forgetting to put it back, yada yada. You just have preset loadouts.
Yeah, that's very nice to have.
Yeah, saves a lot of time.
Yes.
Good Lord. Okay, we already talked about attribute points and how they are unlocked via the skill tree. You got 30 per character. But now let's talk about abilities, all right? So, like I mentioned, that's your Cook listening ability, Leland running people over, yada, yada. You also can level up that ability. You level up that ability by playing the game. It's XP base. So, as you level up your ability, you can then have your own ability skill tree, which you can change however you want. There's 3 different paths on that ability skill tree. If you go one way, it locks the others. But there's 3 different levels, so you pick one per level, and you can go at diagonals. There was an example that Matt did at one point where he picked the same side twice. Mm-hmm. You can do that. There's no point in doing that.
It feels like, you're losing out on a buff.
Yeah, you're not. Those abilities don't stack.
From what we gather.
Yeah, that's how it seems.
And those are all placeholders as of now, so
sure.
it's very possible that those change, or they change placement. But yeah, it just didn't seem like there was any real benefit to going up the same tree. So really, you always go in an X.
Yeah, that would seem like the smartest way to go.
Yeah.
Because if the abilities don't stack, if the leveling doesn't stack, why bother? You should probably always go in a diagonal. At least that's how it seemed.
Right.
Yeah. So you level up your ability by playing, and then you can adjust your tree accordingly. You can respec any time, but the ability skill tree does not get saved per loadout, and the direction you go on the skill tree itself, the big one, that's not saved per loadout either. Right? That's locked the way it is. You got to change that however you want, but you can respec whenever you want.
Yeah.
Pull all your points at the same time
for free
and start over for free. So that's nice.
Yes.
Now, I didn't mention this before, but on the skill tree, if you're on the family side of things, there's the grandpa nodes that you can unlock. The grandpa is his own separate perk tree, and what family member perks or grandpa perks you want to pull in, that is up to you. But that is also unlocked via the same skill tree that we were talking about before. Grandpa perks that you're using, those are unlocked as you level up grandpa in the game. Grandpa to me in the tech test was kind of like the biggest. I don't know how this is going to work.
Right.
He seems useless, but with these perks, and we talked about those perks in breakdown from the pre-release party, and all the perks that were available. He's pretty nasty once you get some good stuff on him.
He's good.
Yeah, some of the perks are crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to end up being pretty damn important. I think Grandpa is going to be the best killer of them all, if you will. A couple bonus details here that came from the stream that are not in the hub post. There's no skill-based matchmaking at launch. Yep. At least that's what they actually didn't know. It's like Matt and Wes. I don't know. No. Why? Because that's a complicated system to put in play.
Yes,
it always is, especially on these asymmetrical multiplayer horror games. Because what do you go off of? What stats do you go off
exactly? After you have established statistics, sure, it might be something to be worth looking into.
Yeah, but even then, what is it? Right?
What is
total
it based
kills,
on?
My KD, my kill death ratio,
my escape to death ratio.
Yeah, what do you go off of? And then can I nerf the shit out of my skill based matchmaking level just by playing like shit a few games in a row? Then I get tossed in with. That's why you're doing Call of Duty, right?
Yeah, you just get on my rank. Smurf account.
Yeah, get on my Smurf account. Yeah. And speaking of which, levels and how it works in the game. So your total player level, which is what was the windmill in the tech test, that's leveled up just by playing. Okay. The character level is leveled up by unlocking the skill tree and unlocking the perks as you go.
Yes.
Both of those levels are displayed in the pregame lobby. So just because you have a level 0 character, you still might have a level 10 player overall rank. So they're not trash. They just haven't leveled up that character yet.
Right.
It allows you to prepare as you go into a game. I mean, Wes was straight up encouraging tunneling people in the street. I love it. I love that. I thought that's because that's what I would do. Is there's a level 10 Connie. I'm going to tunnel the shit out of that Connie. If I see her, I'm leaving everyone else behind. They can all just go do their own thing. So that's cool. And that's where those loadouts come into play.
Yes.
Those preset loadouts. If I see, I want to kill someone as fast as I possibly can, instead of making it like an escape-based objective build, I'm going to go to my killing build and get rid of that Connie as fast as I can.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at the time of this video being posted, which I assume will be tomorrow, it would be 14 days, 2 weeks out. 2 weeks to the day. It is weird how, I mean, we've been covering this game since December of 21, right? That was the announcement.
Game Awards, right?
21. Yeah. I mean, it's been a journey. Here we are, 2 weeks out. And I have a baby on the way. It could pop any day now.
Just got to wait on that one.
I keep telling. I was like, either you right now you give birth,
like now,
yeah, now, so we can get the hard couple weeks out of the way and then we can grind. All right, or you wait till September. If you pop on August 18th, this is not going to work.
You're going to be delivering that by yourself.
It's funny. She even said, like, I just want you there for the delivery and postpartum. After, you don't have to be there for labor. Like, you could stream during. I was like, okay. I mean, we'll see how. Let's just hope that's not a problem. Let's just hope we don't get to that point. Okay. That was I'm hyped up from that experience, the stream. It made me excited, but also I just felt like I had to talk fast because there was so much information. I don't want this to be a 45-minute video.
Yes.
If you have any questions in the comments, let us know. And who do you think's going to be your main victim?
Playing the tech test, man. I really enjoyed both the hitchhiker and the cook.
I'm saying like victim.
Victim?
Yeah.
It was Connie, man.
Yeah, she's good.
She's cheat code. Getting those gates open, those doors open.
If you take your attribute points and you buff the shit out of her endurance, I think that's just like it's gonna
scary.
You buff her endurance and toughness. I think that's the key.
Yeah, get perks for
like stamina regen.
Stamina
and stuff.
regen, yeah.
Especially so like the way her ability works and where you can't have stamina regen. After you use the unlock ability,
right?
To have it come back super fast afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean. She's a real one. People are gonna find a way to bully with her and Leland. I think those two together are gonna be insane. I wonder how much, because they didn't go too much. I'm sorry we keep rambling. They didn't talk too much about the specific perks. They wanted to kind of keep it a surprise.
Right.
I wonder how much, like Anna's ability, if you take her ability and you buff that, depending on how that ability tree works, man, how much damage could she really take when you use that? Insubordinate. All right, that's a wrap this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more updates like this one. And join us when the game comes out. Live streams for so many hours. Be there. Be there, be square. Turn notifications on so you don't miss a video or stream in the future. And with that, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.